Right now, we bring to you Super Bowl winning coach Brian Billick. Good morning, sir.
Another one. Good morning. How are we doing today?
We're doing well. We're doing well. I was kind of curious. I know we're going to talk plenty of stuff about the draft, about the combine, but I really wanted to know, for somebody who's been through it and has the experience, there's a lot of talk about culture here in Dallas. What exactly does that word mean to you in the football context, and how important is it?
It's huge, and everybody uses it. It becomes a bit cliche. Everybody's trying to establish a culture, and they'll tell you the same thing. It's a culture of the process. It's a culture of perseverance. It's a culture of winning. Well, yeah. What compared to us that really don't want much discipline and really don't care if we win much, right? So it's kind of a cliche term. What it really means to me is that there's a unified vision, that from ownership to the head coach, to the general manager, all the way down through to the players, that there's a unified vision for what it is you want to get done and how you're going to do it, what that process is, and a commitment to that process. And that sounds very cliche, and it's very seldom is it done. That sounds a little nebulous, but basically it means y'all got to be drinking from the same faucet.
There's a conversation from Dalton Schultz about how the Cowboys environment is like people are walking through and taking tours, and there's just other stuff going on. I'm sure you've heard lots of things about the way the Cowboys organization is run, but I'm kind of curious when it comes to the focus and other distractions, how much the other teams face some of the similar distractions that the Cowboys might have.
Well, it's everybody has to deal with the distractions. I don't know that anybody deals with it quite the way the Dallas Cowboys do, because they're kind of a rare air. And it can be a distraction. But you can't use that as an excuse either and say, well, we're going to cut back. We coaches, if you left it to us, we'd play every game at the same time, 1 o'clock, with no fans, some indoor facility with no distract. But that's not the way it works. So, there's a lot that goes on with Dallas, but the NFL and the interest in the NFL, and you see even in the combine and the draft, everybody has to deal with it.
And then lastly, before we get into some more draft talk, is like, we see Micah, he's our guy. Like, this dude he's the best dude on the field. When did Ray become Ray Lewis versus he's still growing into the leader, or was he always the type of leader that he was?
Well, he's always he's one of the most naturally gifted leaders I've ever been around. And obviously you've got to support it from the play. And that was an evolution. But what you saw is Ray reached a point where the thing about Ray Lewis, and I tell this to everybody, what you saw on Sunday, that's what you got every day from Ray. And that's what the players recognized in the meetings, in the workout facility, at practice every day. I mean, you stand up in front of my 53 quasi-millionaires every Wednesday to lay out the game plan, and there's Ray Lewis sitting front row, book open, highlighter at the ready. I mean, how great is that? Particularly when you got some rookie sitting in the back with a hoodie up and slouching down, and it's like, really, man, this guy's walking into the Hall of Fame, and this is the way he's acting, and you're going to do that? So when you have that example, and it's every day. That's the key. It can't just be on Sunday. It's got to be every day, and that's where Ray was so brilliant with his leadership.
Fair to assume then that perhaps if Ray Lewis or any other elite defensive player does not bring that intensity to the practices, to the meetings, it makes it harder for them to be a leader?
Yeah, absolutely, because you see it, and you see the production on game day, and that's great, and there's a lot of different talents, but the players aren't going to respond to it. And that's fine, too. Not everybody has to be that leader. And you just go out and do your job, and that's what those guys would say. Hey, I'm just going to do my job. I lead by example. Well, are you really? Okay, you play hard on game day. I get that. But if you're going to be good, if you're going to win a championship, it's got to be replete through the team. I can't tell you how many times I saw Ray Lewis take a rookie aside and take him into the weight room, take him into the film room, going, look, this is how you do it. Just stick with me, and I'll show you. If you want to be good, this is how you do it.
Did you happen to see any guys that kind of had those qualities in this year's draft that you were like, okay, that's that dude right there, he's rallying it up?
Well, a lot of them everybody goes through the motions of it. And I can't tell you that I've looked that closely to draft, particularly the personalities. I see a little bit of the play. I watch a little on TV. Obviously, I'm not that involved with it. And there's a lot of guys who will talk a good game, particularly in today's, social media. Everybody wants to be that guy, and everybody, wants to give that pregame speech, but are they consistent with it? And you look for that. And that's when you go and you go to the campus and you find out, and the people around him. That's where you really find out. You talk to the equipment manager. You talk to the trainer. I always like to say, the guy after dinner, see how he treated the maitre d' or the waitress or the waiter that was serving us, just to see how he dealt with it, to see what his true personality was.
Fascinating.
When it comes to the Cowboys, they've invested heavily in offensive line throughout their career in drafts here, and it's worked out good for them at times. You got Zach Martins, you got the Tyron Smiths, Tyler Smith. Looks like he's an absolute stud right now. Is it boring to draft offensive linemen, or are you that's something that I'm all about, those big beefy dudes?
You love it. Oh, you love it. Now you don't wake up on draft day and go, oh God, I hope we get a guard today in the first round. Even though that may be the best pick, and that's really, really important. But yeah, you got to you build great teams inside out, front to back, and that includes obviously the offense and defensive line, and particularly when you've got a quarterback like a Dak Prescott. It helps you establish that run no matter who the running back is. It's a huge part of it. So, having a first-round pick as an offensive lineman, and particularly this year, it looks like, I think there's one or two offensive linemen, might be top 15, but it looks like there might be some value in the latter part of the draft in the offensive line, because I think some of those guys are going to get pushed back.
Oh yeah, there's I think I saw somebody say there's 10 tackles that could legit be in that area, and I've watched at least 7 of them so far that I'm like, I'll take them. The other part of it though is the Cowboys have always been one of those teams that, in my opinion, and Kevin, I don't know if you share this opinion with me.
Well, let's find out.
But that just didn't love or value the defensive tackle enough, and haven't. And can you please explain to our audience how important that defensive tackle is and what he does to assist other guys across the line and on the defense?
Well, it's just that beyond what he does in the middle, it moves back. Ray Lewis was Ray Lewis because we had a Tony Siragusa and a Sam Adams up front that gobbled up all that other crap up front that allowed him to run. That's why Michael McCrary and Peter Boulware were so good off the edges, because you had to account for those guys inside. Again, it's not sexy, not going to have a bunch of the numbers. They're not all going to be Aaron Donald, but they're a huge impact in terms of what you can do defensively. And for the Cowboys, obviously, the big key is reestablishing that running game. And I think free agency, it doesn't look like there's running backs are always devalued. It doesn't look like there's a first-round running back on the board. Some people are thinking the guy from Texas, maybe. There's good value in the second round. Free agency is where I think a guy like Josh Jacobs could be a huge difference maker in Dallas in what he could add to it. I know Tony Pollard's out there and saw that maybe not necessarily an every down back, but a guy like Josh Jacobs. I think free agency is where the Cowboys, particularly in the running game, could do a lot of damage.
Now, I wanted to ask you about, obviously, one of the things that you're doing right now, and I think it actually might be able to help out my co-host. What can you tell us about signalrelief.com?
This is the real deal. The advancements in physical therapy and the like have been incredible. And Signal Relief, people need to go to signalrelief.com and check it out. We say put it between the brain and the pain. Pain is nothing more than an electrical signal. And this is military grade developed. It inhibits that electrical signal. The thing I like about it, you put it wherever you need it. I'm on the golf course right now. When I'm done, that thing's going on my lower back because my lower back stiffens up. It allows me to do more because the pain is mitigated. And that's where the real rehab comes from. Motion is medicine. And now you're working the joint. You're working the muscle. You go to relief. You check this thing out, signalrelief.com. Check out the technology, military grade. Put in promo code COACH, you get 20% off. So it's a win-win. It's reusable. You put it where you need it. It's 100% guaranteed.
Since you mentioned golf, one of the people from our morning show has never played actual golf and insists that he could shoot in the 80s the first time he ever golfs. Will you please tell him how dumb that is?
Yeah. Well, I was the same way. I never picked up a club until 2 years ago. Now I'm addicted, and I'll bring him. I love to bring him out. and I'll put $1,000 bill on it that he doesn't break 100.
Wow! Oh, I love it. I love it.
I want to see
it.
that $1,000 bill too. I'm excited.
And I know we've had you on the show before. We've talked to you at the Super Bowl. I apologize if you get asked this a lot. Can you tell me any of your memories about being on the match game in the 70s?
that I got absolutely 0 points whatsoever. Which was, but the good thing was that you got the consolation prize. In the old days, they used to, do it regionally. So, well, for being on the match game, he gets, and so my address was my home address with my mother and father. And then for about a year and a half, I'd get a call from my mom. Hey, you just got 16 cases of dog food. You just got 2 pallets of hair, shampoo. I mean, it was fabulous.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Signalrelief.com, the promo code COACH for 20% off. Appreciate it very much.
Bye, Coach.
Thank you.
There you go. Brian Billick right here on 105.3 The Fan. Now, Corey, I don't know if you were curious or not. I did not pull the audio.
Why not?
But I can't. That's a good question. I just dropped the ball. You answer clues, and the first clue that Brian Billick got was what a new bride might do to her 102-year-old husband.
Okay.
His answer:
murder him.
Nursing him.
Okay. That's a good answer from a quality coach right there. Yeah, because Kevin, if you're 102 years old, either you're still super spry. We've seen some very spry 100-year-olds. Like, that is wild. Or you need help, man. Like, you need a lot of help. We understand some of the things that have to go on. Sponge baths, stuff like that. So I think that's a really quality answer from him. And that's what I would expect from Brian Billick. That's an answer I would expect from him. He's thinking about how to help humans.
I do not believe anyone on the panel picked that since
the
coach said he got 0 points in that. But I appreciate him reminiscing and talking about all that
tells me, Kevin, all that tells me is that he doesn't go with the current. He swims against the current, and I like that. I'm proud of him.
I appreciate that as well.